Hello.
Hello. Sorry, my mouth was full.
I haven't even started doing anything for Lawson Lane yet, so I guess the working session is just going to be me starting from the very beginning.
That works.
Like we had notes. I'm going to save this as a PDF and add it to the session, so I don't lose track of it.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Long time no see.
Yeah, you guys are trying to overload my abilities to have social interaction.
What is social interaction?
I thought no one in engineering has social lives.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I had to talk to people for literally 8 hours. That's
You're
way
married now. Get used to it.
Huh?
You're married now. Get used to it.
You think my husband's that chatty? He's an engineer.
It's like putting two hermit crabs together and watching them socialize.
Yeah, basically.
In Fiji, they had hermit crab races where we all collected hermit crabs. They put them in a bucket, put the bucket upside down in the center of a circle, and then you lift the bucket, and whichever hermit crab crawls out of the circle first wins. It was awesome.
Like an escape room for hermit crabs.
Exactly. And you never know which direction they go. They can do loops. Oh, it's so good. It was so fun.
This is called Lawson Lane. Where is it? It's not in here. Let's see if I've got the link in my.
I'm gonna step out for a minute when my pizza gets here, FYI.
Where'd you order pizza from?
From The Star in Oakland. It's a Chicago deep dish style pizza place. They're similar to Zachary's, but I like their crust better.
Yeah, no one likes Zach's.
Everyone in Oakland and Berkeley knows Zachary's pizza.
Yeah, I ate there when I was in college.
Yeah, exactly. The Star is pretty much the same pizza, except the crust is better.
So, Esley, do you have the session number for Lawson Lane since you were working on it?
I don't set that up. Chapter set that up.
You don't look at the PDFs?
No, I think it's supposed to be set up by sales.
I thought Esley used the PDF for her process.
I use the architecturals from the architectural folder. I don't go into session. Because sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. So I just go straight to the folder.
So where does she find it, Dave?
Well, it's sometimes not set up. So once in a blue moon, we have to set it up. But
Do you want the session ID, Jessica?
If it's been set up, I mean, everything I'm seeing, I can't find it.
Let's see. I don't know. Chris Leaker sent this up. I don't know. It might be the contract.
So maybe it wasn't made.
Should I be writing down problems that we're running into? Like
Yeah, this is a good problem.
Yeah, I checked the BIM tracker and it said it wasn't set up for drafting, so I don't know what that includes.
So is there no sales model?
There is a sales model, but it just says the setup for drafting wasn't done. I don't know what that means. I don't know what setup for drafting means.
But wouldn't this be in the pre-draft and kickoff meeting? Like all this stuff?
not the Bluebeam session.
Should add that.
But I would have thought that when the profiles went out, maybe they didn't go out for review.
I mean, Lynn's been working in this thing and all these other people like, oh.
I don't have, like, I haven't even been sent profiles for it. So if they went out, they didn't go out to all the standard drawing reviewers.
No, they didn't send a review because it was supposed to be a copy of the last, which it technically was. They literally copied it, so.
Let me see if I've been added on BIM 360. I think James added me. Oh, I went to the wrong one. BIM 360 docs.
The Genba.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be perfect. Yeah.
So I just asked Gabe and Amy, and then Gabe just said, no, this one wasn't set up. And he said, should the drafters be able to do it themselves? So I don't know. That's what Gabe's asking.
I don't need Bluebeam at all, so let's just skip that part.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts anyway, so.
Well, I want Bluebeam.
Well, you will at some point, but not today.
You can still open a PDF without a session.
I know, but it's just like part of the process to collect all the documents and notes. Lawson Lane. Okay, so we got sales model. So I will,
Is this supposed to be a month old?
Well, let's hang on a second. Let's back up. So we're in, okay, so in BIM 360, we should have a sales model, and that model should have a bunch of comments on it, right? Like if we open it. That's the first thing that should happen. We should have a sales model with all sorts of issues that tell us all the little things that they didn't know when they built it. So that's the first thing we should find.
no issues, but maybe they put it under markups.
Okay, you're being so nice.
No markups. So let me go to home and see if they got something in. Oh, shoot. I went to home, not.
Hopefully you don't have to put in your Autodesk password again.
Not remembering to me this time. Project home.
Normally the sales models I see don't ever have any comments on it. So far from what I've seen.
Yeah, so that was problem number one, right?
Yeah, usually they're just pretty models.
Yeah, there's no one's added any issues for it.
So
So
that's interesting. So what we'd expect to find if we were doing this would be a sales model, and then the Bluebeam, or this BIM 360 session would tell us all the little gotchas we need to know. So whoever drew this model is going to have to join our session to literally tell us all those things, since they didn't bother writing them down. So
yeah,
who drew the model? Was it Daniel?
There goes Daniel.
So let me call Gabe and see if we can borrow Daniel for a while.
While he's doing that, Jessica, do you mind just taking a look at the sales model real quick? Just take a peek at it.
That is the sales model from August 5th, however, right? So if we were really going to open this up in Revit,
Quick question for you. So we're doing our little Genba
we want to
experiment.
go through the Revit
Lawson.
cloud stuff, right?
yeah. But if I link it into my Revit file from
60
BIM
models?
360, it's not going to link in the published model. It'll link in the newest model. Just kind of like
And that's
Weird.
unlikely.
I don't know why Autodesk does it this way.
So we were thinking maybe we'd need to have whoever did the model join us for a little bit and walk us through what they found. Who would that be?
Can you rotate it a little bit?
Borrow them for a little bit.
This looks like Lawson Lane.
It's like this afternoon.
It's a
probably
beautiful
great.
building.
It is
I don't
Lawson
know
Lane,
how
Zach.
to take, but
You know, it looks like the old Lawson Lane.
It's a mirror,
Would that be okay?
No, it's not.
kind
It's
of.
definitely not a mirror.
It's not.
I'll have our team send them a email.
Because the other one is L-shaped. Like,
Well, they have some kind of wing thing. That's what I was just trying to see if it, how they modeled it.
What's bridged together with that little.
Sorry, I forgot to mute. My bad.
Lawnmower.
Daniel will join us. Just send him an invite.
Can you do that, James?
Sorry, I missed the lawnmower. What was that?
So Daniel can join us. Gabriel said that's fine. Just send him an invite.
I sent him an invite.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I was just slow on my mute button.
I didn't mute. That was bad. Okay, cool. That's so far so good. It's sort of fitting because the very first job we did was Lawson Lane when we first did Quazar. So it's kind of fun that we're doing round 2 with Lawson Lane 2. So
yeah. So, I mean, what I would do at this point is start my model setup. So, check. And when if we get Daniel, I guess we can review his stuff. But in the meantime, I'll
It's
just
Daniel Verdejo, right?
architecturals.
Yes.
It doesn't show him as on Zoom. So I'll send him an email.
yeah, like that. The old-fashioned way. People send me all sorts of things on Zoom and I see them like 10 days later. So
Yeah, I hate the Zoom chat because the notification is just, it's not up to snuff and you can't really change it.
Sales model. I'm just trying to figure out what year of Revit to start. I don't know. I guess I'll just try Revit 2020. Or
It says 2018 was the sales model.
where does it say that?
Well, and Amy has that little BIM tracker.
Where? I don't know anything about it. So where is it?
Yeah, I don't know if everyone has access to it.
Oh.
Oh.
But it is 2018.
So okay.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry,
guess in
wait,
the
hold on.
future, you know,
Yes.
how would I know if I didn't have you guys watching me do this?
we're writing that down as one of our notes.
Okay.
Weren't they supposed to
guess
make
if
the
it was,
folder
you know,
name? I'm
I
sorry,
think-
wasn't sales supposed to make the folder name that says Revit, whatever, with the year on it?
Oh, maybe they made it interactive.
That's what I thought they're supposed to do.
Like on that Bluebeam session page. Where
Well,
has,
it
like,
would
the
be in here,
360.
but Lawson Lane's not even in here, so yeah, there's no folder.
But even on your like the Bluebeam session page, like where it's got the BIM 360 link and the version.
Well, the problem is that Lawson Lane wasn't in this list.
Right.
So I think that that needs to be part of the process, is for sales to always add this, because that's important information for us to have right at the start.
But look at all of those that are blank. So how did you guys figure it out for those?
Well, like what I was just doing right now, it's panic. Like it's just like that was just gonna start from Revit 2017 opening the files to see if they would open.
And a lot of the blank ones, Esley, these columns like on the right were added after this list was already, so someone didn't go back and populate that.
Just out of curiosity, if you right click on the Revit file, there's no properties or anything that tells you what version it is or anything?
No. But also
That
I
would be nice.
even find the Revit file in here, or I guess I can find the architectural.
Doesn't it say in BIM 360 though when you hover over the model?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't tried that before. So,
And if you do have the latest version of Revit open, if you search for that file, if you just kind of hover over the file, it'll tell you which version you need.
it's Revit 2020.
Either 19, 20, yeah.
Yeah. But it would still be better to just have it listed, because then you would have to start Revit 2020 check. Okay. So I'm making a new project. I clicked the wrong button.
So what I have so far is we don't have the session ID, none was set up. We don't have the version of the sales model and no issues or markups for the model. We're in BIM 360.
Yeah.
The Revit version, we could probably record that whenever someone opens a file or something in Revit, we can record on the server what version of Revit it was so that we would know, and that whole thing could be automated. Just as an idea. So it's not some manual, like someone has to keep up with a wiki thing.
Yeah.
Welcome, Daniel.
Hello.
So Daniel, we were getting ready to start on the shop drawings for Lawson Lane Phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
And normally the way I would expect it is the sales model gets created.
Yep.
And building that sales model, you're sort of marking up the BIM 360, issues or markups to kind of show anything that anything you want to convey to us as we go to use your model. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're going to build the shop drawings out of your model. So we're going to assume that your model is right, unless you have specifically told us some areas that I didn't know what this was, we couldn't get an answer from the architect, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So as we went in to look at the model, there weren't any issues or comments. So we just wanted to sort of have you come in and tell us if there's anything specific we need to know. I mean, essentially, the key things we need are to know that the FACES system is correct.
Mm-hmm.
That the FACES system in your model and the FACES system in the architectural are in alignment. And that all of the mullions that you've placed are aligned with what the architect wanted, right?
Yep.
Those are probably the biggest two things for us going in. And then, glass types being correct would be huge. I'm trying to think of, those are the big three for me. Zach, any other main things we need to know?
I think that pretty much sums it up.
So just wondering from your perspective, were there any things, as you went through to draw this model that you had to guess at, weren't sure of, waiting for answers?
Well, that one area you see there that has it's like red, or it's a corner area.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one problem that I wasn't able to get an answer from. So basically, the architect said they wanted a chevron mullion on the second floor, but transition to like a regular jam, which is like not possible.
Mhm.
So, but they didn't give us a straight answer basically. So I just marked it up, and I was told to just leave it like that.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's great.
Yeah.
That helps. And then if you can put a little mark in the BIM 360 before you finish the job, just saying, hey, this area unclear, needs further development, whatever. Like just so it calls it out for us. That's perfect. That helps.
Okay,
And
I can mark it up.
And we have new information on that corner. Josh is working out some details right now.
Oh, good. Nice. There you go.
All right.
Anything else that you think we need to know as we start to convert your model into the shop drawings?
So far, no. Everything is more straightforward except just for that corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Well, that's good to hear. Glass types all made sense. Nothing there.
Sorry, so real quick though, that corner, I was trying to understand the architecturals, I couldn't tell. So is that really like a flyby, that whole wall on the ground floor, those 5 bays? It's where it's exposed on the back and the front? Because I couldn't tell if there was a wall recessed as this underneath.
It's still a curtain wall.
No, I know, but I mean, is it exposed on the back and the front?
Oh yeah, it is. It's a loading.
Yeah, see, that's what I could. So there were no details for that. Like if that makes any difference, I don't know, design wise, if we have to change stuff, waterproofing or anything else. There was nothing in the profiles on that. So I don't know if that just means we assume our standard details work for that, or do we have to do something different because that area is exposed? And so I couldn't tell from the documents myself. So I didn't know what was the plan there. So I don't know, do you know of any, or if Jumpstart has any?
That problem was brought up when I was doing the sales model. Basically, what I heard is from what I remember, there won't be any doors there, so it's exposed, and that little part of the second floor on the left side is also exposed. So
Yeah, like the bottom light.
Yeah, the bottom light.
Right.
So I'm not really sure what the right answer, what they want, but from what I know, it's exposed.
Yeah, see, so that would change waterproofing and stuff. See, so there were no details of that in the package. So we might need to ask Jumpstart.
Yeah, and they're working on this as we speak, because even these lights down here, those are not going to be vision. They're going to be like glazing panels similar to this over here.
It'll make it easy because if that's a wet area, then the waterproofing doesn't matter at all. So.
Well, but you have to make the top half waterproof and have it stop at a non-sill condition. That's what's the difference.
Maybe, but the water's going to be coming in that area anyway. So if it leaks, it wouldn't matter, right? They're going to leave it open. That's just a foyer.
Yeah, there's going to be like a soffit in there, probably at that horizontal line.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, we'll let Jumpstart finish out what they got there, and then
well, so should that, so like stuff like that, though, see, should that be noted somewhere? Because see, because again, this was like, I just didn't understand it, but from Jumpstart, I got nothing. And so James knows, I guess they're working on something, but for drafting it started today, like I had no information to hand down. There's no detail, so I don't know if just talking about it like this is good, just review it, but I just so happened to see it. I didn't know what was going on, but there was I didn't get any information from Jumpstart that they were working on that.
I thought we already had a meeting with Jumpstart to go over everything. It's a misunderstanding what happens at the pre-draft and kickoff. I might have to start attending them because Jumpstart's supposed to be there, you're supposed to be there. Everybody's there to look at this job and understand exactly what the handoff package is, any open areas, any questions. That should all be what's happening at that meeting before you even start. So maybe I'm missing the point of that meeting. So I might have to take a step back and go to those.
No, we knew about this area in that pre-drafting checklist meeting.
Okay, and that one I didn't make it.
That meeting has to have Esley in it, so.
She was invited.
Yeah, I was invited. I just couldn't make it.
Right, but that's where you would find out about these things, right?
Yeah. All right, 10-4.
Cool, cool. Daniel, thank you very much, brother.
Wait, I have a question for Daniel.
Yeah, good.
I just letting you guys talk. Did you guys like, I mean, I assume you guys had PDFs at some point that you were marking up and reviewing things, or?
Yeah, it's in the Bluebeam.
Oh, so there is a Bluebeam session.
Yeah, if you go to the wiki, and
Oh,
the
was on the wiki, and I couldn't find it by searching for Lawson Lake.
was it not listed?
Yeah, could you send me privately the
Okay.
ID?
Yeah, I'll invite you right now.
Okay, and I'll then email Amy to add it here.
Okay. If I can find it, Lawson Lane. There we go. All right, I'm sending you an invite right now.
So who creates that normally in sales?
Sales don't create it. It's usually the estimator that creates it.
And then who adds it to that Bluebeam wiki page?
I'm not really sure. Yeah.
But Daniel knows the session ID, so the super secret's out.
Yeah, I mean, I was just making a new one because I thought we didn't have one, so we could have lost whatever notes or comments were earlier if that's not documented.
Yes, I got that down in our notes of things to make better.
Did you send it, Daniel?
There's no button for it. It disappeared.
Probably because you're not the owner.
Yeah.
Well, if you just look at the top, there'll be a number, and you can just tell me the number.
Yeah. The number is. Are you ready?
Just a sec. Okay.
212 504 724.
Okay, and I'll add it. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So in
Yeah.
here, we've got
The profile.
profiles with the markups from Jumpstart, narrative, module study. Okay, cool. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any other questions. That's what I made you say.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thank
All
you.
right.
We'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right. See you guys.
See Daniel. I have a few things to download too, whenever you guys want that.
You can talk right now. I'm just gonna see if I can link in the I'm gonna check and see if the architect's
Okay.
file is the right kind of link for.
All right, I'm gonna steal the screen and just share something. So we now have an edge of slab file from precast since we had to do that slab early. A few things to note. There's just above that area that we were just looking at, on that balcony, there's 2 punched openings between those 2 doors. The architect wants these units to go all the way down to the ground or to that the floor. So these precast panels are no longer there. And then just
Okay, real
what
quick.
I mentioned earlier. This is,
No, I was just gonna say, so does that make the sill joint then 1 inch or something to align with precast? Or do you know if it stays 3/4?
it's just going to be similar over here. So whatever sill
Okay.
this is, it's going to be the same sill over there. And then this corner will be a chevron mullion, and again, Jump starts working out that detail. And then as it extends down to the ground, it's going to be like a half chevron with like a little break shape closure piece to kind of close it off, with this edge kind of aligning with the glass above. So again, Josh is working this out. There is a 9-inch curb here. I don't know, there's probably got to be some like tube embeds in there. But again, we don't have a detail for that yet.
Well, we probably won't be to that for a while. So.
Okay. And then just looking at the phase 1 building, when they take this apart, I don't know, phase 1 has a corner here, but as it connects to phase 2, that corner is going to be removed. And then they got to somehow make a jam unit. So I don't know if we probably need to model this elevation some way to kind of capture that. I don't believe it's in the sales model, or if it's on anyone else's radar.
Okay.
And I believe that's all I have for that. So you can take the screen
Yeah,
back.
so where did you get those from? That's the question.
Where did I get what?
Hang on a second. Sorry. No, just where did you get those notes? They look like they're in OneNote or something.
Oh yeah, they're just notes I took down when I was helping on checking that edge of slab.
Okay. Yeah, the one thing I'd love to have is, you know, a central place like the BIM 360 model where we do all that stuff, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because I find, you know, that everybody has their own preferences on where they mark stuff up. And then finding these things later sometimes gets difficult. So that might be another thing we could look at, you know, just overall, like where do things go, so that, you know, Jessica, we've had some things where people miss stuff.
Right.
Notated, but it was notated someplace they didn't look or something, right?
Yeah, I was planning on downloading this somehow.
Well, I'm not saying we have that place.
Right.
I'm not intimating that somehow you did something wrong. I'm saying, like, it'd be good if we had a place where just naturally by rote everybody put their stuff in one place, right? So, but I don't know what that place is. I get super confused every time I talk to people, because it seems like every time you try to take a Bluebeam session and keep the comments and put it someplace, everybody gets lost because it never works. And
yeah, my intent is to really get this into that BIM 360 model as issues. That way, you know, you just go to that area and look at this.
I feel like going back to Adobe at some point, but
going where?
Back to Adobe at some point, but that might just be me.
I'm not opposed to that.
I know, it's like, I know there's some advantages to Bluebeam, but there's so many detractions. I don't even know how to talk about it. Jeez.
It would be nice just to get Shopplot to work again.
I know.
100%.
And have the back button work all the time too.
Yeah. Bluebeam reminds me of like a good tool for salespeople. Like, there's just stuff everywhere, and it's just this free form, you know, naming convention, you know, mess, no file system. Like, it reminds me like a good tool for guys who just like to embellish, you know what I mean? Like, because every time I go to a Bluebeam session, it's like 45 files, and I'm supposed to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to be looking at, and this is like, really? Like, can't even make a link directly to a file. Nope, gotta be to a folder full of shit. So, super crazy. But that's just me. Sorry, I digress. Whew.
You're not alone.
I mean,
I
for
think we're,
the drafting process, it's really helpful, but for reviewing, that's where it gets.
yeah, no, I think it's got some really nice advantages. Like, I think drafting likes having like one folder with all the nice stuff right there. Being able to get to it from different places and stuff is great. You know, there's stuff. I'm not saying there isn't, but cool. So tell me, Jessica, about your process. So
Right now I'm opening the architectural model so I can run this cleaner on it. Then
Okay.
I'm gonna actually turn it into a cloud shared model on BIM 360 because the only way to link in an architectural model on BIM 360 so the link doesn't break for every new user is to make it also a cloud shared model on BIM 360.
okay. Thank you, Autodesk, for complicating everybody's life.
Yeah.
Yes.
So usually sales will upload an architect model on there, but I mean I can't open it because they're just like straight uploading it. They're not uploading it in this way.
What about your precast friends? How will you deal with them?
Same thing. Take their model and open it myself, and then upload it to BIM 360 as a shared model. And if they give me a good model to work with, well, you know, Walters and Wolf Precast will get a Revit file. Some other people, we might get an IFC file, which is even worse because you cannot at all link an IFC file into a work shared Revit model. You have to open it up in Revit to turn it into a Revit file, which takes a long time, and then you can link it, which is just a weird Autodesk thing because you can link an IFC model in a Revit file that's not work shared on BIM 360.
Can you put it in a Navis model and link it that way?
I don't know about a Navis model. I know that if you put it in a Revit model, it works.
Okay.
It takes a while to load.
I think this is our precast brothers. So, and I think there is a cloud shared model already, but I don't know for sure. So those are other things we need to know, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because I mean, Precast has their own BIM 360 stuff set up in our same hub. And then I think we just need to get invited to that one. So like I said, I think they already have it. It's just now giving us or particular drafter or whoever access to it, I believe.
Yeah, so if they have it and they invite me, that would be great because then I can link it in and we'll always have their most updated model.
Yeah, and I think Amy was working with that. Like I said, I don't know what the process or what they came up with the process for that. Like, yeah, because that was the same thing I said, was like, why do things twice?
Can you link things across projects like that?
No, that's why we have to get access to theirs and then she can pull what she needs into ours. Right now they're separate.
I can get into, like, I can link any project that is in 2018 that is in Walters and Wolf folder.
Really? So like you can like take LinkedIn or something like that if it was 2018 and put it in this model?
I believe so, actually. I'd have to double check it, but like they let me navigate to those folders. I just haven't clicked to link it. So I guess I can't say for sure. I'm like 90% sure though.
Well, I can go into BIM 360 and invite you to whatever their project is if you want. I think you can't. You're an admin too, right, Esley? On BIM 360?
I know. Yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't know what that process is. Amy was directly talking to Precast of what that process was going to be, of how we were going to do that stuff. So I don't know the exact process. But yes, we have, as admin, yes, we can invite people, but I don't know if that was the way she wanted it or they wanted us in there. You know, I don't know.
well, we have to be careful because, you know, assuming that the precast model is right is a different problem, right? So we really should be back checking the precast model against the architectural somehow, not just assuming the precast model is right. So I'm a little worried about that too, because precast has a habit of changing the layout to make their life easier, which then creates all sorts of drama for everybody else. But that's the kind of things that I would rather go back and tell precast, no, you need to match the architecturals. We're not doing that. You know, so we have to be careful about that too. Because I've been burned way too many times by precast changing the design, and then everybody has to live with it later. So.
Yeah, that hasn't changed.
I know, not at all.
Yeah,
I'm
it's amazing.
I was hanging out with James Watts while he was trying to do a sales model, and the precast model was wrong, didn't show what the architectural showed. It's like, which thing should I do? They linked this thing into my model. I'm supposed to follow them. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we gotta watch that too. Scott's not there, but it still feels like he is.
Yeah, that's kind of.
So the thing is, like, what we're seeing here at the Genba, we've got Jessica, who's a very skilled person and knows what she's doing. And we've got, everybody here to make phone calls and get people to jump in our meeting and tell us what we need to know, right? And James has a piece of the puzzle, and Esley's got a piece of the puzzle, and I can, call Gabriel and get somebody to come in our meeting and tell us what we want to know. And, but this, 41 minutes, right, probably could be a day or two for somebody just trying to figure out what to do, So, and they could easily make mistakes on what to do, and then all of a sudden, where are we, right? Like even the architect's model we just looked at, is that the most current architect's model? That should come up in the pre-drafting checklist, right? Did we get some kind of information from the PM that that's the most recent model?
Yeah, I guess I'm just trusting that it is. I stayed at 8:30, so.
Well, because when we worked with Carla on our last job, everything went well until she found out that she didn't have the most current documents. So I think in the pre-drafting checklist, part of that is to get to know what the most current documents are. So James should have that info, right? And that should be, are you in that meeting, Jessica? Or you're not in that meeting, that pre-drafting checklist?
I wasn't in. Sometimes I get invited. I didn't get invited for this, I don't think. Let me check mine.
Yeah, no, typically the drafter doesn't go to the pre-drafting.
Yeah.
So what should the most, what do you have for notes, James, about the most recent documents, architectural, structural, model?
Yeah, let me look that up right now.
Because that's another one that keeps biting me.
Yeah.
Yep. 30, 40 years later. Problem on my very first job, and it's still a problem today.
All right, I'm gonna watch a little bit of Gabe's video real quick because I forgot how to acquire coordinates.
So, what we're gonna do first, so now you understand project base points. We have our most business template. What we're gonna do is gonna actually link that architectural, allows you to toggle between different options for your view.
Oh, here it
Thing
is.
is the project base point. The project base point is what you see here. It's this symbol here, so the circle with little X. This defines the zero. This defines the 000 of the project coordinate system. So initially, when you start a project, you'll see this coordinate or this project base point on top of the internal base point or internal origin point. But this can be moved. This allows you to change the coordinates, your northern, southern, east, or whatever they call it, north, south, east, west, and elevation, based on where you put this. And then you have your survey point. This defines a reference point from the survey coordinate system. So say the architect or someone, they actually go out and survey, to the site, and they have some coordinates that they actually want to input into the project. That's what they would put it in the survey point. So again, this also can be moved, but you can see the symbol is different from the project system. Okay.
Like Gabe is in this meeting.
Yeah, well, I forgot that we have the project base part turned off in our standard template, and I always forget where it's hidden to forgot. So that's what I'm trying to do right now.
So back to the question of architectural model, we do have one from August 31st. That's in the architectural folder.
That's probably the one that's dated August 30th.
Yeah. And then it looks like there was one placed in
That
there.
was the one
Oh,
I just took
this
and
afternoon.
cleaned up.
Gotcha.
Oh, it's under site. That's where it is. Okay, I got that. So now I gotta keep watching
Okay.
it.
Yeah. All right. Did you open up the project
Wait, you didn't say how to set it. Oh, here it is.
and indicate where it's at? And you can see that if I zoom in, I have my project base point and my survey point at those locations. So they're on top of each other. If you zoom in or zoom out, they don't get any bigger or smaller. You might be able to play with the settings to make those a little bit bigger, but they don't get bigger if you zoom in. Okay. So now what I do, I'm in my site plan. I would go to the ribbon on the Insert tab, and I'm going to go to Link Revit. If I click on Link Revit, I'm going to navigate. It's actually on my desktop for me to make it a little faster. I'm going to click on my folder. I click on my file, sorry. Make sure it's origin to origin, and I'm just going to hit open. What that does, it's going to link in the architectural model. And it's going to be just one entity. If I zoom out, you can see that it got linked in. And if I hover over it, it's selecting it as a whole, right? You can see if I hover it, there's a little note that says RVQ link, and it gives you the name of the file. So that's the first step. I linked it in, and now it's in my project. All right. Everyone good so far? All right. Go back to our slide. So once I linked it in, I'm going to, the next thing I'm going to do is acquire coordinates. This is a big one. You want to acquire the coordinates. This is to make sure that it's in the right location. And you want to make sure you're selecting the architectural link. I'm going to show you how to do that. So once you have it linked in, you go to the ribbon and go to the Manage tab. There's this area for coordinates, and you're going to go to Acquire Coordinates. And once you acquire coordinates and you select the linked project, you'll notice what happens is the project base point and the survey point will update. This one didn't have any coordinates for the survey point, so it didn't update. But you can see that the project base point updated to correspond to the coordinates that were in the linked model. So let's go ahead and do that part. So if I click on this, all right, actually we don't.
I like this architect didn't care at all.
You go to the Manage tab on the ribbon.
Acquire.
You would go to coordinates, and you go to acquire coordinates. And you can see at the bottom on the command down here, let's say link project from which to acquire shared coordinates.
You guys had to deal with that when the architect didn't even bother setting them, so doesn't matter. Turn light. Turn it back off. And for some reason, the architect put this all like it's some crazy place. Okay. Now I have got a copy in actually I'm gonna link the sales model first just to make sure that it's gonna come in the right spot.
So Zach, when we use Quasar on the sales model, is there anything specific we have to think about there or not?
No, it should just work like a wireframe. Should being the operative word. Haven't tried this specific model, so we'll see. Cross my fingers.
Yay. Okay, it's all in the right spot. I don't really need to even look at the architect model right now, so I'll hide it. And then before I even start bringing anything in, I gotta copy in the grid lines. Actually, I want to copy them in from the architect's model because that way we'll get a notification if we get a new architect model and they've moved them.
Is that kind of like standard? Like, does everyone copy it from the Arc model?
Well, that's in our project setup thing, but I don't think everyone's doing it because I think some people, I mean, if you're just starting from like the sales model, which sometimes people do, then it would depend on whatever the sales modeler did. So yeah, I mean, I think everyone should. I think it's best practice. I don't know if people are. And then the reason it's best practice is just because then you have that little trigger if the architect is moving their grid lines around when you load in their new project.
Doing a good job, Jess.
You guys are finding out the setup process is really boring.
Well, the question I have, right, and while you're doing the stuff, we can kind of talk about it. Like, you know, to me, when you have things like this that you do once every several months, and there's a bunch of steps to them that have to be followed, and maybe even some improvements that should be made as we go, right? To me, I always think that that's better if you centralize it and give it an owner. You know, because, you know, while Jessica might remember to go to the checklist and do all these things, a lot of variation happens. Like she just said, well, I don't know if everybody's doing it. It should be best practice. But if you have an owner, you know, that just does this for each job, then they're doing it every week instead of every 4 months or, you know, whatever it is between jobs, right? And if the process needs to be improved or changed, they're going to be, you know, more likely to do that because they're going to have to do this same process next week, right?
Yeah.
You know, because in my mind, like 90% of this should just be a button. Like if these are steps, then they should just be automated, you know, and it's like, I just don't think that counting on every individual draftsman to get all these steps right, you know, and again, like if I had somebody who's doing this every week, they could be making sure with the PM before they start that they have the most current documents, that that they've got the ID of the sales session, like it would just be a normal thing for them every week to do this, you know, because they're doing it for every job, they're doing it all the time, You know, so I don't know how you guys see it, but to me, like these kind of processes that you do once a project are almost always better if you centralize them, you know, just like we do with warranties, just like we do with, you know, a number of other things in the company, just because it just, if you're hoping every single PM will do something right, you know, and there's 25 of them and they do it, you know, twice a year, it's just never your best game plan. So.
Well, yeah, and even like Jessica had to watch the video to remember even how to do it. And it's like, do other people even know that video exists? Where is it? Like, so that was great that you knew it, but yeah, does everybody
Would they skip
even know how to do it? Yeah, and yeah, this is pretty complicated.
Yeah, I've done this process before on some random jobs. I don't even remember which, but I remember the checklist, and I did use the checklist, and I think Gabe was sitting with me, but I don't think we watched a video. So
The video is relatively new. So in the checklist, it
okay.
just comes to acquire coordinates. And I used to always forget, and then every single time I'll call up Gabe and ask him how to do it again. But now I have the video. I don't know why that stuff, I just have such a hard time remembering, because I guess I never even do anything similar to it except for when I'm setting up a model.
But your last setup was probably One West Side, right?
Yeah, and that was a long time ago.
That's what I mean. And that's what we found, you know, it was like metal takeoffs. Like everybody in the takeoff group would do metal takeoffs, right? But they would only do them once every 6 months. So, you know, they would do them, but they'd all have variation in them because there was no process that anybody was following. And they weren't going to do one for a while, so they didn't really care about making it easier. You know, if you had to do this setup every single day, you would be like, okay, we got to fix this, right? But when you only do it once and it takes a couple hours, you're like, yeah, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, you know, that's the other advantage of having an owner, is because the owner has a vested interest in making this easy. And in the end, you know, this will all just be super easy and you don't even have to have an owner. But, you know, most of these things are just,
I have to step out. I have to at 2 o'clock, but I'll come back.
words.
Okay. So, oops. And then, so this is actually in the project setup to copy monitor and the walls and floors and stuff, but we usually don't do that anymore. We've come up with some ways to just use the architect's model. Well, I would maybe copy in the floors if I was gonna have to do the edge slab model myself, but you guys told me that it was already done for precast.
Yeah.
So presumably that's in that precast model that I will need to get access to.
Yeah, and I know they were still finalizing it like end of last week, so I don't know if it's in their latest in BIM 360 yet.
Okay, so I don't need to do any of these other steps then, since I can get all that.
So let's talk about precast. Do you want me to call Tom Colgrove and get them to invite us to some project or something? I don't even know what's involved. So.
I mean, if they can just invite me into their folder that they're working from.
Okay.
That would be great.
I'll do that right now. I'll make that phone call. So let's talk a little bit about the Quazar process, right? So as we go to convert the sales model into the real model, we're basically just needing to have the families and know which families go where. The geometry piece is something we're going to back check as we put these things on sheets and put dimensions on them. We already have a module study, so we should have that module study for our back check. And so what I wanted to try to do, Jessica, was that whole Kaizen you've been through to define, you know, okay, what are the quality steps that we need to ensure? You know, I want to sort of convert an opening, complete, including all hook lugs, you know, sheetrock trims, extended covers, floor slab, everything, right? Put it onto sheets, dimension it, you know, give it all the information, and then check it. And we go through that list that you guys had in your Kaizen of all the things that your team downstream needs to know, right? Because like you said, like there were a couple times when we were talking and you were like, look, this thing came up and, you know, I didn't check to see if we had the profile modifiers on it, but there were a lot of conditions and I didn't go back and look at every single one of them. And, you know, because it gets big and, you know, when you look at this building, it's a big ass building, right? But if we take it an elevation at a time and we just do one and finish it and do one and finish it, then we really can look at all the conditions and make sure everything's the way you want it before you move on, right? So the idea would be to sort of do an opening, check it, do an opening, check it. And we just never come back to those openings at all. You know, the only thing I don't know is, you know, the timing of the detail bubbles, you know, or the details coming into the set might make us have to go back and put the detail references in later. But other than that, we should be able to do everything up front. And once you get the detail package, we could drop back and then put all the detail references in and call it a day, right? So that's kind of my thinking, is we just do an opening at a time, start like on the punched openings and kind of work our way around, and then kind of work into the curtain walls. And then I think there's some segmented walls which may or may not work with, you know, Quazar. We might have to do them differently. So we'll just have to kind of figure out what's what, right? So.
Yeah, and well, depending on how they modeled the segmented walls and sales, we might be able to use Quasar on them. But
Yeah, we'll see, but always start with the easy things and work your way to the hard things. That's, you know, you want to make good progress and have, you know, things that are achievable and whatever, right? And so the couple things I'm looking for out of this Genba thing is to have a better understanding, like how long does it take to do one of those openings, right? Like we don't know that right now. And I think that's something that will really help us understand, okay, if we can convert the sales model, like what does it take to do each of those openings? And then if we have some sense of that, now we've got some kind of baseline to work from. And then what does it take to do that big curtain wall you're looking at? Or what does it take to do, you know, each thing as we go? But again, doing them complete, including offset tubes, including hook lugs, including all the little things we need. And to start with, before you can really do any of it, you have to know which parts and pieces are going where and which families are going where. So, you know, we can kind of do that opening by opening, you know what I mean, as we roll around. But you are going to need, you know, a good set of profile drawings to know which families are being used where, so we can do the conversions. So just that's the thing I'm thinking of. And I don't know where Esli was with the families, getting them into this model. Like, can we pull those in at this point, or do we know?
Let me see if they've got the database file in here. I can go check right now. Drafting profiles. So there's a Gen Notes database file, so I can pull every profile from here, which it looks like that was made a day ago, so it must be recent.
Yeah, I think she said everything but the high span, which would be fine. So, and then, yeah, so I think that's really what we want to try to do in the next couple of days, right? Is just to start at one opening, make the conversion, put it onto paper, put all the dimensions on it, double check everything, compare it against the module study, you know, go through your little quality checklist that you made in the Kaizen, done. Okay, next, right? And what does that look like? What's that timeline? What does it take? You know, what are the things that are holding you up, right? So.
Yeah. So here, let me get in import the profile. So I mean, at this point, I've got to
Did
just
you finish the setup checklist or no?
I didn't
finish that?
because I am not going to do any of these steps because I'm going to get the walls in from filtering the architect's model, and then the floors are coming from the precast model since they already set the edge slab.
Okay, and then the other ones,
Um,
those aren't really necessary either.
yeah, I mean, we don't even do the typical unit types anymore. So this checklist is from 2018. We should probably devote some time to make a new checklist because it doesn't even include the step I went through at the beginning of converting, cleaning up, and then uploading the architect model.
Okay, so what I have so far, let's just walk through this real quick. So we didn't know the version of the sales model. We don't have the session ID, and we weren't sure if one was set up, but there was one, and we found the number through a super secret method. No issues or markups for the model. We're in the BIM 360s model. We should have a separate place for markups. What are we doing about the precast model? We're not sure. I'll call Tom. The architectural model needs to be linked in, so there's some steps there. We need to update the Revit setup checklist, and there's a bunch of steps to the setup, and maybe that should have an owner. So that's what I got for notes so far. Anything else we're going to write down?
No, I think that's good.
Okay, so 2 hours in, we're kind of, or an hour in, I guess, we're kind of ready to start loading some families or something, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I was really just doing this on my own, I would probably devote another hour to just making sure all my like overall elevations and my overall plans are cropped in the right spot, but I can do that later.
Okay, and do you have a good recent set of profiles to work from?
I'm about to go open those up right now. I'm just navigating to them on my other monitor because I need to compare those profiles against this dialog box I've got open right now.
And how do you know the offset?
It is typically from the face of system to the back of the glazing pocket. And I honestly do not know the logic for why it's set that way. I think it has to do with the way they make the families.
So the logic of why we have that offset is because what you're doing is also tying into the takeoff program. And for a flat, normal opening, it won't matter at all. But every time you come to a corner or a segment, things are moving, you know, from the face of system back to some specific dimension point. And the length we cut all those parts changes as it moves back on that angle. So if your offset and the takeoff program offset are the same, we'll get the exact right dimensions when we go to cut the parts. But when we didn't really have the offset set up properly, and the backup pocket's the only thing that's ever really real, you know, because the glass thicknesses change and the face caps change. And so backup pocket was the one place we could all know was a specific point, you know what I mean? So that's where that comes from, and what you're doing with it is you're defining for this model what that offset is. And then when we go to do the takeoff program, we use that same number to tell it what that offset looks like. And we've had jobs that had different offsets in different places. You know, punched openings were one thing and strip window was another, right? So in order to get the corners and the segments to come out right in the takeoff program, I need to know what your offset was in Revit too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. Now that explains it to me. Okay, so basically I got the profile set open, and I'm just looking for any corners to make those adjustments. So this is from September 1st. I still use 70.
It looks like Esley has, is this the families PDF?
Yeah, it's this one. Oh, the date modified is September 15th, just like
Okay.
Okay, so SW7551050002. Maybe talk to Alan if he can just identify the corners and filter them out.
Say that again, sorry.
But I should probably talk to Alan or Mark. I can't remember which one of them made this tool. Just automatically identify the corners by these, filter them out. So the offset for corners is usually 0, but it might not be. I have to usually kind of play with it. Actually, what would be nice, oh, Steve's not here. Can someone else take notes of my requests? Or
Yep, I'm taking notes too.
my request would be if when they set up the families that they document the offset and the angle required, and then that's just automatically populated into the select profiles to load, because they really should know that, because if they don't know the offset and the angle, then they're not making their families correctly. So they already know that, but they lose that when it's our time to work.
That offset can vary though. Let's be real.
Yeah, but it should be apparent in 95% of cases when they're making the families. And if
Yeah,
it does
they're
vary,
making it with an idea of what they want it to be,
Yeah.
but it can vary from job to job.
but if it does vary, we have to dig into it and change it anyways. And already we're just guessing at this stage, because we don't really know what it has to be till we get it modeled. Okay, so this
Can't you look at the
5105.
details though?
Well, yeah. So
Like this is a corner, you know it has to be 0.
I know this, I know, so they know it has to be 0, so why couldn't they have set it as 0, so I don't have to set it as 0? Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they're not recording that anywhere.
Well, I know, but
Because
why
they
can't they
know nothing about that. But it's not just the corners. The corners are easy, they're always 0. But for the other mullions, like a straight mullion,
They are
it can
recording
vary
it,
from
but
job.
the place that they put their little symbol and they draw their lines is going to be based on this offset. So they may not
Well,
realize what they're doing.
That's different. That's different than recording it. That's just putting it in the drawing.
They're determining it. So all it takes is one more step of them recording it.
Tom's going to send you a link to that, or an invitation to that model for precast.
Okay.
One thing about working from home, nobody switches your drink. Every time I would start to like a drink at the office, they would stop buying it.
Oh. I thought you were like saying physically switches your drinking. I was like, who was sneaking into your office and stealing?
Every time I would try one of the new drinks that they would have in the fridge, and I'd like, oh, I like this. And then a month later, they would just stop buying it, and they'd have some other drinks, and I would go to try a new one. I'm like, oh, I like this, and then they'd just stop buying it. So
I have a different kind of problem where I pour myself a glass of water, and then V just steals my glass of water.
oh, that's pretty good. Yeah. Just disappears.
Probably happens in the office too.
I'm thinking. Oh, and the other thing I forgot to mention, so we don't forget about it, the panels. So I guess we could verify with Daniel, but he should have modeled the panels with the new Amy type panels. So we should be able to use those panels directly and not have to redo them.
Just copy them in. Why is this? Oh, I'm a num lock on.
I didn't see any panels. Are they up all at the parapet or
See them right here.
something? I see.
Male is -45. This is also a really boring step. And what I was arguing with Zach about, Steve, is that even though the setup
That's
team
not
doesn't
the
realize that they know this, they do know all this information. So I think they could be included in their process to, oops, I just put that in the wrong column, to include this data, and then we don't have to manually input it.
Yeah, why is that not part of the database,
Yeah.
Zach?
There's no mechanism to record that or write it down anywhere. It's a AutoCAD and Revit process. There's nothing about these families in any database anywhere until it gets gen noded from when it's already in a project.
Oh. Well, we can
Or
do.
when it's saved. When it's initially saved, it gets recorded that it exists, but there's no parameters in it for this kind of stuff.
All right. Well, Jessica, I will take that one on for you.
Okay. 110. Make it.
Like I was telling Jessica, some of these will change. Like the corners don't change; those never change.
Well,
The other stuff can. So
95.
you just have to. Can I finish? So what I'm saying is, if it comes in automatically, it still needs to be looked at, and you got to make sure that you're getting the right number, because it's not always going to be the same on straight mullions.
How does it change?
It depends on the face of system.
Which is on the detail.
Yeah, you can look it up on the detail.
But I've already got Alan looking it up on the detail, right? He's converting this AutoCAD drawing into the Revit data, so he already knows that, right?
Maybe you'll have to ask him.
That's what I'm asking. I think.
But this list of families comes from gen notes of the profile drawings.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to. That's the point. Like it is, but that's just one way to do it. So I think we could just make this list as he does the process. So I have ideas.
As who does the process?
So we wrote Amber a bunch of tools to do this process, to create all these families from the AutoCAD stuff. And when he's doing that, we could record this other data into a database. And then at the end of her process, instead of doing a gen notes, we could have it fill out that database, you know what I mean? Or it could be doing it as she goes, like just starts a new database and that's the database the data goes into or whatever, so.
Sorry, I know you guys are talking about this, but I just noticed something weird, which is that these families were not imported for some reason. So I'll have to figure that out why at some point. Just to keep you guys updated.
Well, I think as he's coming back in at 3 o'clock, so let's ask her about it too.
Yeah, well, after I do this, I'll try and manually insert them. It might just be that they weren't in the gen notes DB for some reason or something. I don't really know. Okay, so I'm gonna load. Yes, and we don't have details inserted yet. And then this is where I'm gonna go grab water because it takes a little while.
I will grab water as well.
In a glass for V?
Yeah, I usually just get 2 glasses that way.
V prefers mugs. Just get it in a mug.
I don't lose anything if I just grab 2 glasses because I know I'll still at least have one for myself.
What you do is get her a tea first, and then get your own water.
Then get some water. Yeah, I'm just thinking, so let's say Amber is going to start this process. She's got that set of profiles, right? So she would open, a database, let's say that we had set up, like the gen notes is set up, right? And then as she does the process, it would record the data in the database. And that's what she carries over to drafting. And there's no gen notes process at all. It's just Alan's program is filling all that data out and it can be imported. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking.
But what about for existing families with a different dim point than the standard?
So
Say they use the same standard horizontal, but now the dim point's at wherever.
She'd have that detail in her package, right? So for the existing ones, she was the same.
So Alan's tool would have to look at the details, figure out what the new dim point is versus the original dim point, And then record that somewhere to be imported later into Revit?
I don't understand what you're saying. So if we made let's say we made a horizontal and it's got a 2 1/4 inch offset, right?
Yeah.
And we save that. You're saying that at some point in the future, we're going to use that same horizontal, right? But maybe that job has a larger vertical cover.
Yeah, or we're doing face of system or something like that
So
or
now-
for face of glass.
So now
for
let's say
face
it's
of
a
system.
3 1/4 inch offset, right? Because
Yes.
for whatever reason, right? So Amber would go in, she'd do her process, she would pick that family, it would grab that family off the server, right? It would put it in the database. She doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't record anything. She doesn't put it anything where it knows there's a family. It knows there's one on the server. It writes it in the database, and it says, okay, where's face of system? Where's back of glass pocket? And it goes, oh, 3 1/4, and it writes that down. Like, why does it care what the original one was? That's all we're doing here. We're just saying it's 3 1/4. We don't care what the original was, do we?
How does whatever this process is know where the dim point is versus the back of glass pocket? How does it get that 3 1/4?
Just picks the 2 points.
So every detail she has to pick 2 points, even if that mullion is the same as it was before?
Uh-huh.
Like,
yeah, because it could be different, right? So you just, she would just do a process on each detail, kind of like a layout, right? In fact, I've been thinking a lot about that. I feel like we should just do layout. Like that initial setup should do everything. Like we shouldn't have to do a layout later. I don't know. I have ideas. All this data that goes with these details, it should just be done at once. And there shouldn't be a secondary process later, Alan's doing a piece of it, Jessica's doing a piece of it, Pedro's doing a piece of it, but it's all known from the profile set, Same thing, that's the same as layout, right? Isn't it?
yeah, it is the same.
That's what I mean. Like, it seems like it wants to be one thing. You're not jumping on this bandwagon at all, are you?
Well, layout is more involved than just, filling out a bunch of stuff in AutoCAD, right? You have to put in your parts. You have to know which parts go with which detail or which use, really. So it's not even like one detail could be 2 uses, 3 uses, 4 uses. Someone kind of has to know that to run layout in any capacity, really.
But isn't it?
And you have to know where the taglines are also.
But I mean, it's really interesting too, because we're doing the same thing backwards later. I mean, earlier. It's like, because Alan's tool is reading that whole detail, grabbing all the parts off the server, rearranging them in Revit to look like the original detail. Like he's literally, creating this stuff on the fly or pulling it in off the server, just like layout does. He's reading the detail and he's going, oh, you have a W75-20-101. And he goes, oh, and there's one on the server. Oh, and it's oriented in this way. And so he brings that W75-20-101 into Revit and puts it where it would go if it were drawing it, by hand, right? And then he goes, oh, you have a W75, whatever, right? And he grabs that off the server. And then if you don't have one, then he takes the one that's in AutoCAD, he turns it into a part, puts it on the server, and grabs that and sticks it in there, right? So it's almost like layout backwards. So I don't know, she has the same problem, like she's making details, but they're made up of, separate families, and each of those families are becoming a tagline, and each of those taglines create a use. Like it's really the same process in 2 different ways, right?
I'm on board with someone having a dedicated job of doing all this setup.
You can hit, so there's buttons in the upper right, Jessica, that will do the view for you.
Oh, that's new. Cool.
Click the second one.
Well,
So that makes it match your Revit. So if you switch Revit to front, you can just match it.
Oh my gosh.
that's
Really?
new. Thanks for finally giving it to us.
It's been there for months now, guys.
Well, I haven't used this for months. So the last time I used it, well, actually, I used it for the class. I didn't even realize you added these. I realized the other things you added.
So when you import a elevation, it automatically hits that second button for you. So it matches your view, or at least the orientation of your view,
Now
to
make
whatever you were seeing in Revit. So you could tell if you were outside or inside of the thing or
Oh,
whatever.
it's still doing the little bug with the selection. It just looks like it doesn't want to let you choose them if you're.
What if you do a crossing window? It just got it.
Well, I just slightly moved it. Here, let me go back. See.
That's weird.
Everybody had that problem today.
Hmm.
So
Mine was working yesterday on that.
now time to do some digging. One says, oh, here, I'll be the same as this guy. 1 on 501. And hopefully this is correct. I should probably, James, I'm just gonna rely on you because you know about this project, but are there like, you said that there might be curbs at that one area. Are there curbs anywhere else?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I don't
By the
recall
way,
seeing any curbs.
your back button there didn't work because you have all these files open in Bluebeam. If you had just the one file open, then the back button would work. And there's nothing I can do about that. That's just the way Bluebeam deals with JavaScript. So,
I'll close them all.
FYI.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I just gave up in frustration.
And it won't work in a Bluebeam session.
In a what?
It still doesn't work in a Bluebeam session too, right?
Well, if you only have one thing open in a Bluebeam session, it'll be fine. You just need to have just one Revit file or one PDF, because Bluebeam, when you run JavaScript, it just automatically runs it on the first page you have open.
But
The
even
first
if it's in a
PDF.
session, because I thought even you clicked on it, it didn't do anything.
It should. I don't know of anything being limited in the sessions.
Well, I thought that was the whole point. I thought the backbone was working when it's on our server, but it doesn't work if you're in a session.
You can try it right now. I thought it was having multiple open. I don't use Bluebeam very much, and I am not invited to any sessions. So
I think I did not. I think that deep database must not have had all my profiles in it because I don't even. Yeah.
you only check those when you did the dialog box. You only had the corners checked.
Oh, duh. Thank you. I like.
You left to get water and you forgot where you were.
Yeah.
No wonder it didn't take very long and you got back with your water.
I was like, oh man, it's.
That wasn't that long.
So I gotta repeat that. Hey, now it gives me time to make tea.
I'm glad we can accommodate your tea time.
It's tea time.
That's funny.
Okay, check all, and then I've got to uncheck my corners so I don't overwrite them.
So what I'm going to do while we're sitting here is I'm going to go to the old Lawson lane and check all those punched opening sills. Just so you know.
If we have curbs anywhere.
Yeah, just to double check, because that makes me wonder too. While you're making your tea, that can be useful.
Now my hot red water's all ready, so.
Yeah, I can imagine this taking a while with the number of details that you just selected and the fact that it has to convert each one to 2018 from 2017. Yeah, it's tea time.
But so far, so good, James.
Yeah.
Nothing out of the
Yes,
ordinary.
split rush it, but I still wanted to say like,
Yeah, everything looks like it's 3/4 off the dim.
but I think last time Steve, he wanted something forward. He didn't want
There's some external stuff, but the curbs all look relative to the precast, so it seems like it's all just 3/4 off the dim point.
Okay, so I don't have to worry about, I was just, wanting to make sure before I started going, and I put the, one sill track in that we wouldn't have any exceptions.
Yeah, I don't see anything weird.
Normally, actually, really, I would be probably spending the first day just reviewing everything, but I haven't even had a chance to review this project yet, so. Good, I have you guys here to answer questions.
Well, I don't, honestly, like, there's so many parts of processes that we do that I feel like would be better if we just spent a few hours together at the beginning. You know what I mean? It's like, there's so many times the communication gets lost with all the paperwork. And everybody wants to be able to just sit in a room and send stuff off or mark stuff up and go, okay, well, I've done what I have to do. But, it's trying to put it all together when you go to draw shop drawings. If we had to get together for, 4 hours a week just to start a job, like, I wouldn't care. Like, if that's what it takes to get off to a good start and have what you need,
Yeah. And it will probably help a lot, definitely help the newer people who I think sometimes just don't even know what to do.
I know. Well, I mean, I can see, I saw it with the takeoff group a lot where people would just get off on the wrong foot. Then they would like compound the issue by coming up with some crazy way to deal with it. Then they would ask you something after they were 3/4 of the way through about how they should do it. And you're like, you're so far lost. You either start over or just finish the crazy thing you started. Like, I mean, there's no choice here, And in the end, almost always, I wish they had stopped and started over because, what it would have taken them to do it right or the right way was probably 2 weeks, and they were 4 weeks into it. Right. But it didn't take them 2 weeks to finish it. It took them 4 more weeks and it was a mess for everybody every time something happened. So, I think a lot of it comes down to just having a set of steps that give you what you want. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like, you were sitting in that meeting the other day and you were trying to explain how we get the glass types to show up in Revit, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, see, here's our cover sheet. These are our glass types. It's like, well, why don't we have a button to read the cover sheet and make all the glass types? Like, why would we go type all that crap into Revit for it? You know what I mean? Like, that stuff should be just a button. There shouldn't be a process to that. Like, fill out the glass on the general note sheet and then hit a button and it makes them all for you. So, like, just stuff like that. Just take the things out of the way that are just, because like for you, it's like, this is what I do. But oh my gosh, if there's 12 steps to explain to somebody, how many times do they do it before they figure it out and they're good at it, So I like things to be easy to explain and easy to learn. And then, you have a decent process. But when you're losing the entire, drafting and takeoff group on how to make glass types.
Yeah, also,
Hey,
making it a global parameter is like a kind of an extra advanced step. Most people don't do that. I didn't even bother doing it until Gabe suggested I show it to people for the lesson.
well, I thought it was funny today because there were some people when they were loading the families in, you know, because they were doing it, they weren't using the database, they were just doing it through the little interface, right? And there were some people going, wow, that's a lot of work. And Selena was like, well, normally we have a database that, you know, we can bring it all in and do it like it's a lot easier and stuff. Like, yeah, I could see that. That's a lot of work. And I thought, boy, you should have seen how many steps there are if you don't have the tool that Alan built. Like, this is the first job I did with James to get a family in. It was like 8 steps just to bring the crap into the, because you had like, there were all these different things and you're like, why do you have to do all this? Like, so we had Alan build us a tool so we could just pick the thing and it would do all the steps, right? But yeah, it's super funny. I can't imagine what other people are doing because I think they're doing it all manually.
I mean, if you ever open up like those free Revit files from other companies, they're always insane.
Yes. Well, imagine what's happening at other companies that don't have an Alan or a Zach. I mean, they literally, people are just doing whatever the hell well, first off, their Revit models don't have any data. They're not using embedded details. They're not, like, nothing's what it should be, right? So I guess if you're just doing it as stick walls and then pretending, you know, using it like AutoCAD, I guess it wouldn't matter at all, so.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when we had to fill out an Excel sheet to come up with our glass, to generate our glass panels.
Yep, I remember. And everybody's yelling at me and I'm like, okay, we'll fix it. Yeah. It's nice though. I mean, you know, you look up at that menu up there and all the great little tools and stuff we've done to make things easy, and it's really nice. Like,
Yeah.
it was kind of funny watching the difference between teaching people how to draw an elevation in Revit and make a PDF and print it, and trying to teach people to make fab tickets in the takeoff program.
The fab, once we got to the point where our data didn't load in, I couldn't even do anything more because I was too busy asking why I have to keep doing all these crazy things.
Yes. Well, Zach decided to like his his escape room, decided to pick a bunch of weird things for us to have to do. Like, couldn't make it easy.
My bad.
So they could get through it.
I would just rename you as Jigsaw.
So we originally made that activity as a jam to jam, and everything looked great. And then we're like, there was nothing to do in the takeoff group. You just draw your tags, rename your data, and then draw everything. And it was so easy. So we added a vertical.
Well, part of the problem is Reggie at first was trying to tell me I was going to start manually drawing my taglines. And then I was like, no, I know that's not right because yesterday I just pressed the button and it loaded it. So there has to be another way.
I had Tony and Edgar in our breakout group, and they couldn't even figure out how to get things to work. That was my favorite part. Like,
that's because Pedro does it all, right?
Well, no, maybe, but that's not, you know, he does probably 60% of the details, but they got to do the other 40. So it makes you wonder what they're doing at their desk every day.
Esley's back.
I learned from my classes that Eric and Pedro do all the really hard stuff.
Yes. Agreed.
And the rest of them barely understand what they're doing, which isn't great. It should be teaching everyone how to do it.
Of all the groups, the one that was the furthest ahead was group 1. That was with Eureka and Chris Amuela.
Oh,
they basically did the whole elevation. They did the notches. They did everything.
I'm sure our group would have gotten everything done if you hadn't pieced out.
Well, that's not fair if I walk you through it.
Well, that's what everyone else is getting because there's no steps written out for us. And my takeoff person actually was not completely clear on what to do.
Ron was lost too. Ron had never made a pallet schedule.
Yeah, I had to help a lot of people with the pallet schedule, and I kind of knew that going in. But it was like the easiest way to get
Absolutely the easiest.
filter.
I just remembered how to do it from yesterday.
We watched the video.
Okay, what was the this lower window? What, is that anything or?
It's telling you to see how they're labeled. Wait, actually never mind because that's resource.
You can resize that. She just made it really big. It's just a description of whatever field you have selected. So right now she has only top left mullion.
Oh, I get it.
It comes with the control. So if you select caulking track, it'll say caulking track down there.
Oh, okay.
It's just a description. The control does it automatically.
Yeah. I just realized I forgot to name this guy down here, so I gotta name him.
Yay, mullion presets.
Oops. I'm very happy you added this.
So this is a point where I would, if I were doing this, I would be looking to make sure that the DP of Amy's unit is the same as the DP for the actual rough opening. You know
well,
because theirs is usually at some weird spot, and you might need an adjustment on it.
Daniel told us it's all good.
Well,
it's all good for him.
But anyways, I'm just gonna export my first one and then check it. That's usually what I do.
Was you saying up there at the top, we would use the grid line shift, right?
Yeah, exactly. You would put in a grid line shift of negative whatever because theirs doesn't model the cock joint usually. So we'd add like a negative 3/4 or whatever. And then that would get saved with this preset.
Okay, hang on 1 second. So theirs is the center line. Everything.
Not on the horizontals. The horizontals are top and the sill is at the bottom.
I thought you were talking about the jam, sorry.
Yeah, this is on the sill. At the jams, it's at center line, and you would also need a grid line shift for that too.
Can I not edit presets once I make them?
You can, you just basically save over. So like you would set this to that preset, change the grid line shift, and then resave it with the new shift.
Then I'm going to do one with no settings, export it.
Yeah, you could do it with 0 and then find your numbers. Yeah, that's fine too.
Let's do the Jessica method. I like it. That's what I would do too. Anything that keeps me rolling.
You also requested Jessica to type in there. You can just start hitting. You can just start hitting letters.
Cool. I will start doing that now. PO head.
Does it filter out the selection when you start typing? Kind of like in Revit search.
Kinda. It's more like Windows file browser where it just keeps moving you to the next thing.
And 251. Okay, so SW75. Oops. And until you make a typo.
Yeah, just like the parts library, as soon as you aren't typing with the right speed, it stops.
This was one of my improvement ideas. If you could just pick detail 1 on 501, and then it just loads all the families that go with it. Instead of having to pick from all the families and try to remember the number. And
yeah, that's why we got the presets now. So once I set these presets.
So let's talk about that real quick, Esli. So let's say that's how it's going to work, because I like that idea. We know which families are in one of 501. So
Yes.
we could make her presets for her.
Yep, because it's already loaded into the project too, because the details will be done from us.
But are the details done? They're not done yet, right?
Not at this
For
point.
this job, not yet.
But are they ever? When we start this part, the modeling?
I don't know how soon you guys start. Sometimes no.
It's like right now. It's like the week after you get done.
But you still have the data because it's in Gen Notes from the AutoCAD files. It still has the family names in there per detail. So you could get it a different way if you're not doing it in Revit.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I like that idea.
That would narrow it down by sheet then though, not by detail. For the database file.
Well, they'd
Better
be,
than nothing.
it'd be the same as the profiles, right?
I think it has. I think it has the number. But that'd be something to look into. You're right, Jessica. It might just say what sheet it's on. It may not say specifically
Yeah,
which
the
detail
text
number.
is on a specific sheet, but we don't know what detail it is on necessarily, unless
Until
you
we
do
do
some
the
kind of.
Revit. Well, until we do the
Sorry.
Revit details.
Yeah, once Revit's done, then we would know, but I think it would still help even just to have the sheet narrowed down.
But I'm just saying, like, Amber's process uses the CAD file.
Yes.
Amber could indicate what detail she's doing each time, and we could record that. So it could be done.
Yeah, it'd have to be per project though, right? Because sometimes the same families get used project to project and they're on different sheets. But yeah, I mean, if it was built in where we click on something or we type in what page number it's on, yeah, it could be done. Because we actually, come to think of it, when there are new families, I mean, we do it by page in our Trello board. I mean, so we already keep track of it by page and detail number. But just if it's existing families, though, we don't.
It's like Jessica can remember all these from like her mind because I can't see the other screen.
Oh, sometimes I can if I, for some reason, have to.
No, Jessica, you are remembering it from your mind.
Oh, it was when we were watching Chris, or he was telling Yuriko how to do the stuff. He was just reading off like the fab number this, fab number that. I'm like, where are you? Did you just memorize that? He's like, oh no, I have it over my screen. I'm like, oh, okay. I was giving you a lot more credit.
And Chris has 5 monitors, so.
Yeah.
I was
I
working.
could see why.
I was working with Gabriel on something though, and he really could remember like those kind of little things, you know, and like 20 or 30 of them. It was really weird. Like we were doing something where we had to like, there was some numbers over here that you had to do and then you had to put them in over here. And he literally, sheet to sheet, he could remember the ones from the sheet before. And I'm like, how do you, he goes, oh, I just remember stuff like that. I'm like, holy crap, dude, that's a great skill because I have to go look at every one of them. I won't remember any of that.
Yeah.
Well, it's like drafters, once they get going, they memorize the page numbers. They memorize what sheet, what details on what page. And I used to remember all my details.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I can still remember a lot of my details from projects I drew like 10 years ago.
That's scary, James.
Hey, that's weird. That helped before we had any sort of library though, and someone didn't know what to do. Oh yeah, I remember that project I did 5 years ago.
Am I seeing this right? The sales model has no cock joint spacing at all. It's like an
Yeah, it
architectural
looks
model.
like I'm gonna have to.
Or
Have
is that the sales model or is that the architectural
I'm
model?
about to filter it out, so don't get too excited yet. I'm just making some views so I can look at it. It looks like it's got something crazy going on. Okay, so sales model not only didn't have prop joints, they had their curtain wall set in a way that like was in the center. Oh, I think that's what Steve was saying earlier. So really, to get this in the right spot.
Well, but it was butted up against the precast too, right?
Yeah, let me open up the architects real quick. No, it looks like they just didn't, they modeled in the space for the prop joint. They just didn't model in anything for it. Because this was.
Okay, so that rectangle is the architect's.
But now.
But there's some in and out.
Daniel anymore because he said his space system's in the right spot. And then if his system's not matching the architect's. So I'm gonna go check.
Can you take a snip of that and email it to me?
Yeah, let me hide mine since that's kind of confusing.
Well, no, because you need to have yours, right?
Oh, to show that we're not exporting in the right spot?
Well, the question is, right, like you just did 2 1/4 as an offset.
I didn't choose any offset. Oh, for my mullions I did. But then for like the offset to space based on the sales model, I didn't put anything in because I just did 0, 0, 0, and then I would go back in and compare later and fix it.
Zach, why would our facing system be different than the sales model when we just converted the sales model?
The sales model wall is drawn, if you select it in Revit, it looks like it's drawn at the face of glass instead of face of system. That's what it looks like to me. But we'd have to investigate this further.
So I'm gonna open.
Can you go back to Revit and select the sales models wall?
I need to hide my wall because it keeps getting in the way.
See how their wall, that blue line there?
Yeah.
That's their dim point, or at least what they model to. That's where the wall is in Revit. It's that line, and it's that face of glass.
Yes.
So usually in Quazar, this is a very common thing, especially with Inviso systems like that, with the sales models. So usually I put a 1-inch modifier in Quazar to move that wall out 1 inch so that my dim point on the exported model matches, with what we usually expect.
Okay, but the question would be, right, we just asked Daniel, do you have the right face of system? And he said yes, right?
Yeah.
Now, his face of system is really face of glass.
Yes.
Which means if he's going to match the architect, he's got to move that around a little bit to get his wall to be where the architect is, right? Because right now,
unless the architect was also face of glass.
Well, no, because you look at the architect's mullion right there, and it looks like he's lining up with us.
So it looks like his invisos are in the right spot. It's just this jam is not set.
Can you go back to the vertical?
Wait, I might be measuring to my, nope.
I think you're measuring to yours.
But okay, so I opened up the module study. And what I found is question mark face of curtain wall at 4'3". So I guess I should probably check in the architecturals since it seems like no one really knows.
We got these back, right?
Hmm?
We got these back from the module study came back from the architect, right?
Oh, I don't have the marked up one. Let me look in this Bluebeam session. Maybe it's in there.
I see why you have so many PDFs open and the back button doesn't work.
What?
I can see why you have so many PDFs open and the back button stops working.
I want to be comparing between multiple documents.
No, I'm not blaming you. It's just these sessions make it a lot easier to open a ton of these up.
That's the point of it. So James, do you know if there was ever an answer to this?
I believe there was.
That's how we
I don't know.
we update on it. Every time we have a cancel, they just send it to us.
I'll go look for that right now. It should have been submitted and then came back.
Some of
Oh, first level floor plan, that's what I was looking. So the architect's showing us aligning with the back of, and that matches their model. You look at maybe this section 20. They don't have dimensions and it's not the
So 4'3" is confirmed.
4'3" is confirmed as base of system.
Yeah, do you want to
So,
see it?
yeah.
I can share my screen if you want.
thing, new BMW.
And Jess, would you want me to download that and just drop that in the Bluebeam
Yeah.
session?
Do you even have the Bluebeam session? Because Daniel
I
just
do
shared it with
not.
me. I haven't had a chance to send an email yet.
I can give.
Can you just?
I'll
Was that Steve?
post the number in the chat.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so inadvertently, Daniel was right in the fact that, well, he's showing that at the face of glass. Since we didn't adjust for it, now our face of system's in the right spot. But I'll have to be careful now to check every time after I export and kind of make sure that's right.
So, so let's stop for a second. So 4'3" was correct to face of system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And right now his face of system is not at 4'3", right?
Yeah.
What is his system at 4'4"?
4'4".
Okay. But his face of glass is at 4'3".
Yeah.
Okay. So this is one of the things we have to do, right? It's like Gabriel needs good feedback on what's working and what isn't, you know. And Gabriel's not getting into the detail of things to look at it this way. So it's good for us to be able to give him that feedback. Like, look, you know, here's what we're talking about. You know, not that we can't adjust it, but if we're going to assume that the sales model is right, you know, that's where the problem is. Because Lynn didn't say the sales model was wrong. You know, she just threw a question mark on the thing and sent it in. You know, so. It doesn't help the sales model team if they don't get feedback, right?
Yeah.
But do they get that answer in time? See, like when did Lynn get that question and when did she get that answer? Because this was done back in August, the sales model.
I don't know why she put a question mark on it to begin with. Like,
oh, because it wasn't. Okay.
I mean, that part is always frustrating to me. So.
Okay, so but I do have to offset the curtain wall by 2 5/8. So I'll have to build that into my system type.
Which is 1 3/8 for half of the jam, right? And then an extra 1.25 inches. So that's 2 5/8.
Make sure this is.
I think that's where that comes up.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it's center line plus the cock joint. And then we got to look at the height too, because it's probably got some things.
And let's see what's going on here. Oh yeah, so they just, it looks like for the height, they just didn't include the cock joint, so that's offset.
Well, they did include the cock joint. It's just
I
they made their wall smaller for the cock joint, but
I
the
mean,
endpoint's not
I
at the cock
feel like
joint.
if we want to use their model, if we could get them to just make their walls the size we want to make our walls, and then we don't have to worry about any of this.
That was a battle back in the day.
Okay.
It's gonna change, but
Yeah, they're working on changing that.
And So I'm gonna write down these type of notes. Just
So if I don't misunderstand, then the jams are 2 5/8. The head is what, 1 1/4 plus? Is it center line or not center line?
the
Head's at top ahead.
Okay, so the head's just the 1 1/4.
Yeah.
And what's that sill though?
3/4 inch. So now I'm gonna actually delete my.
The sill is modeled at the bottom of the sill, at the bottom of the face of the sill.
So you're good at the sill then, is what you're saying?
No, she needs to
The still also needs
move
to
it down a 3/4.
I'm gonna delete that and now I'm gonna adjust my stuff in Quasar. So grid line shift. There it is. 1/4 inch.
How do you save that?
And so
So you just hit the plus button again and see you pick the same name and then hit
okay.
overwrite.
cool.
Nice.
And then this will be plus 1 1/4.
You can hit enter or, yeah, there you go. And then
Okay, yeah.
How do you know which way it moves when you put
It's-
like a negative
it's
or a
always
positive?
sort of like AutoCAD coordinates. So negative always goes down or to the left.
Or
And
the sides,
positive goes right or down, up.
the sides are
So
just positive, right? Since I want them to go out.
No, that one's negative
Oh,
because you want it to go to the left. It's AutoCAD style.
okay. Enter.
Oh, don't overwrite your head. And then try the calculator button.
What?
So this lets you do a calculation. So you could do add 1 3/8 and then hit the plus button. Yeah, you could just hit it on the keyboard, plus 1 3/8 and then plus on the keyboard or the number pad, plus 1 1/4. Like if you knew the numbers, like this is half the mullion width of the jam plus the cock joint, and then you can hit apply and it'll just do the math for you.
Okay.
If you wanted to go that route. Either way.
Instead of exporting and checking.
Or using the small calculator on your desk instead of the big one.
I never use my calculator anymore since I learned if I draw a line in Revit, I can just do enter and do calculations. I want to save my system now.
Do you have to shift the horizontal?
Let me look at the horizontals. No, they're in the right spot.
I think she fixed those right after she moved those all the horizontal, I think.
This is the sales model. Let me check. Sorry. Keep getting confused because they're all looks like ours. Let me undo. Oh. Whoa. Oh no, we were in the right spot for those puppies. They do those at top of horizontal.
Yeah, in the sales models.
Yeah, so then we're in the right spot. Well, I'll export and double check before I save my system. Make sure I didn't mess anything up.
So you're getting errors on the infills because the takeoff program can't figure out, or it doesn't know what material those glass are. Otherwise, it would do your glass types for you too.
He doesn't know what material from the sales model.
Exactly.
But is there any way I can tell it, or is just gonna give me those errors?
Probably.
How?
Can you get that error message up there again?
Yeah, let me delete this guy and export it again. It's not letting me click it.
Well, so it's unable to find a material for glass type GL1. So let's go to Revit and select their glass in the sales model.
Oops. I hide the sales model.
I don't even know if you'll be able to change it though, because it's in the sales model.
Yeah, I can't change their type unless I open up their model. Let's see. Oh, yeah, you can't change
But their
it.
glazing material is GL type 1.
So what would be cool
Is-
is if I could tell it GL1 equals type 1.
Well, go back there. Go back there. What was the name of that material? Glazing materials GL type 1. Is that in your material browser?
No, because we don't name ours that way.
So we'd have to go to the sales model and see that.
Oh,
Are you sure it's not listed there?
Tell
Go to manage materials.
GL equals. We name ours WW Vision.
I know, but up
So
there
you're
is
not gonna have-
GL up there?
No,
Okay.
but it would
So
be
they
great.
didn't have a glass type on their model, so that's why it's not coming in.
It's just it's not to our
We'd
standard.
have to modify their model.
Or tell elevation generator that GL1 equals 1.
So let's walk through that. I'm just making some
I
notes.
assume that they would have the glass types in their model. That's why I didn't make any allowances for this.
Well,
The
let's
model
walk
that I had it.
But let's go through that real quick. So what should have happened here?
The sales model should have glass types assigned to their glazing things, and then Quasar would have output the glass to those same glass types.
But you said there is a glass type assigned.
There isn't on the ones that that Quasar outputted.
It's assigned.
Like it's assigned to a material that doesn't have a glass type.
Yeah.
Just like the ones that are coming out of Quasar, they're the same way. They have a material, but they don't. That material doesn't specify a glass type.
Okay. I said glass type and sales model are assigned to a material that doesn't have a glass type.
Yeah, let me copy and paste this so we can.
We can open up the linked model and check it if you want.
Oh,
I think that's what's happening though.
that takes a long time. So I'm copying and pasting their element into our model so now we can edit it. Now it's like ours. Okay, so what did they have? Edit type. So they had a mark number set to
You
it.
have to go to. Oh, that mark number implies there is a glass type.
And
Select the unit. You have to select the unit. So one of the instance parameters there, IF1 is GL type 1. Yeah.
well, now we have it in our project because I just copy and pasted this
Yeah.
thing.
Check the parameter on it. Can you click the parameters button? That one, yeah. Oh, it is set to GL1. I don't know why that's not coming through.
But we don't have glass type 1.
Oh, we don't have one called GL1, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. We would have name ours 1 or 1T or 1H. So
Okay. Well, let's try that.
that's what I was.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
So when you change this GL1 to something else?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our little general.
No. Should we just change that GL1 to something else?
Well, if I change it in this element, it's just changing it for this element. I copy and paste it in, but that's not going to change it for the rest of the sales model.
Yeah, that material is supposed to be in a sales model. She just temporarily copied the material and the wall in so that we could see what was going on with it. So we would have to go back to the sales model and add or change those GL1s to type 1 or whatever we wanted. Or we can change the materials in our shop drawing project so that there is some material that is a GL1.
Or the better longer term solution is to have with elevation generator let you choose like GL1 equals 1 or
Is that a better solution to have
Yeah.
to type that every time you export?
or I mean it can automatically populate it on best guess and then we just change it if it's wrong. I mean, how hard is it to say if it says GL1, say it's type 1?
Okay, let's just back up. I guess I'm not understanding, so give me a second. We have some specific ways we call glass that are already set up in our templates.
Yeah.
The way that we're
Yeah.
calling glass in the sales model doesn't match the way that we call glass in operations right now.
Yes.
So the GL1 in the sales model doesn't map to anything because they made up GL1 for their own purposes without asking, hey, what should this be, right? Is that the point?
Pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
Well, shouldn't it always match the architecturals though?
No.
No?
So we have a standard for naming glass types.
Here. So if the architecturals are GL1, whatever, this is an example of the most possible glass you could have, like most complicated.
Yeah, but would sales know all that ahead
Well,
of time,
they
like
also have
the
access
spacers, the
to-
treatment?
This general note sheet.
No, but I'm saying, but what if the glass type is unknown and they don't really know the actual makeup yet, but they just know it's vision?
None
It's
of this,
GL1.
none of this has to do with the glass type, right?
Well, that's what all those letters mean. You have to know if it's a special, was it heat strengthened, they have the spacers there, right? Like that's what all those letters mean.
I don't think so. So for every glass type that we do, we're either heat strengthened or tempered, and you need both. And you would need them in sales and you need them in operations. So you know all that. The sight line isn't really a big deal at this stage, so you could just use the standard. But if they're calling it, if the architect says GL1 and they say GL1, then it's not going to carry through. That's what we're saying. It should be a 1, a 1A or something, right?
At the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
okay, got it.
So we just need them to do what we're doing. So at least we can carry the glass types through, right?
Yeah.
They shouldn't invent their own glass types in Revit because it's easier for them. If we're gonna use it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess just make them match this standard and then we'll have no problems.
That's how it should work. Everybody in the company should use the standard, right?
Yeah. I mean, they were using the architect's one, but we just suppressed the GL just because we don't have enough space for 6 characters.
Yeah. So a GL1 in your world is just a 1, right? And a
Yes.
GL1T is a 1T for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Okay, so, all right, I got the notes. So what do you want to do? We're just gonna change the glass manually. Seems faster.
Yeah, now that I
Probably.
pasted this, I actually do have GL1 in my project, so when I export it, I will probably just name it GL1 and I'll just have to manually select all those and change them.
Okay.
Well, you can erase that thing also.
What thing?
You can erase that material so it won't put in
Oh yeah,
the
but I
submitted
mean,
thing.
I don't mind that I have it here and I can just now select.
Or you could temporarily name Vision 1 as GL1, and then they'll all come in manually or automatically, and then you can switch it at the end when you're done.
No, sorry, we have a tool to select glass panels by material. So once I'm done, I can just select, well, I can either do the switcheroo, but the easier for me would just be select all the panels by material and change them to the correct material.
Just do it, Jessica. You got it. Go.
So see, now that I copy and pasted it
You,
here.
you have a tool to do that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just 2 steps. We have a tool, this GG filter, and we can just select panels by a lot of things, but one of the things we can select by is material. Which is not out of the box Revit, which is really silly. So we had to make Alan make this a tool.
The takeoff browser does that too.
Yeah,
FYI.
but not as
Just
easily.
People don't understand how to use the takeoff browser, so they
Okay.
ask for all these little tools for Alan
Okay, we
to
don't
do what
like
the takeoff browser
that
does.
are complicated
Just saying.
using, so we asked for someone who's nice to us to make us things that are fun and easy to use.
That already exists and are more powerful. Yeah,
Go,
I get it.
Jessica. Go, Jessica.
I can get Alan to create a tool in like a day
Okay,
or
okay,
so.
we're done. We're done. Let's move on.
So I'm gonna measure this to make sure we got good dimensions before I duplicate everything.
Sorry, so I missed some of the parts. So is precast model then in here as well?
No, I just
No,
got
not yet. Okay.
I just got an email though, so I can load it in now.
Okay. No, I was just checking because for the ROs, right? I was just thinking, should we use the
No, I was
precast?
using the architect's model.
Make sure you save the system in Quasar after all that grid shift stuff.
LL punch opening first.
This is not saved on your computer anymore. It's saved on this Revit file. So you don't have to call it LL because it's only going to exist in this project, in this Revit file.
Okay,
FYI.
I'll just name it PO. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get access now to the precast model, which I might not be able to immediately because sometimes there's a lag once someone adds you to a project. Oh, no, I was wrong. It's not letting me go to the other file. So I'll have to go here and oh, I think it just hasn't added me yet. Oh, I know what happened. Probably what's happening is my email changed. And then he added my new email. I can't change my email here. Can I link an account? Nope.
Sorry, I hadn't sent it to your new name.
Thanks. I think it might just be an email bug that is happening and why I haven't gotten it yet. Because, well, so let's
Sure.
see if this helps. Because I couldn't change the email for my Autodesk account because I would lose access to everything. So if he sent it to my most recent email or the new email, it might not have gotten to me. So I don't know how I can fix that. Oh, change this.
Oopsies.
Sorry, guys. This is a Jessica-specific problem.
Just the little joys of getting married, right?
Yeah.
Little things like.
Should have changed my freaking name. Oh man. Well, I might just need to deal with this later, and we can talk about it tomorrow. Oh, I'm getting the Autodesk emails to my phone. Oh, now I got here. Verify. Okay, so hopefully now if you send it to me, it should work, and I will get it soon. It just might have a little bit of delay. Oh, I just got it. That fixed it. Cool. Oh, it looks like they have to share the specific documents with me as well. So I'll email.
I'll just do that.
Oh, you have
Seems
access?
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's keep rolling with the windows and we'll get to precast later.
Yeah, sorry guys for that. Okay, so I have got one punched opening made. And what we want to do is go through with this all the way. So now I will just filter by glass type. Oh, all of them are supposed to be glass type 1.
That's Lawson Lane West, Building 2.
Yeah, so in precast, it's the precast file is named 30-663 Lawson Lane West B2. WW Vision.
The original buildings, the bottom lights were 1Ts and the upper lights were 1s.
Okay. That was going to be my next step, was to check that.
According to BIM 360, you do have permissions to document management and design collaboration.
Maybe it's just the AutoCAD being laggy. I can always
Yeah,
check.
it might take a minute to propagate, and also your email changed too. So maybe check back in a couple hours.
Okay, so since this punched opening propagates itself, the best thing for me to do is to place all those and then run the sheet maker, because that way it will automatically place my little references for each punch opening. So I know I'm just gonna make sure I can know everywhere that this happens.
And we wouldn't just put a schedule under that one elevation.
Well, I mean, we still have the standard on the,
Oh, to put the bubbles on each of them. Okay, understood.
yeah.
Would you run GG 2.0 first, or did you already do that? I missed it.
No, I haven't done that yet. So I'll do that. Thanks for reminding me. Can we actually take like a 5-minute break? I need a bathroom break. Well, I guess I'll keep talking.
With that system she made, she should be able to do the rest of these punched openings, assuming all the details are the same, pretty quickly.
Yeah, sort of the thing is it quicker just use Quasar to convert them all, or is she going to copy them, or what's she going to do?
I'm not sure. We'll see.
And then do you have to assign like what floor it's on and all that kind of stuff, right? Or no? I say that's, I don't know either. How much do you have to define in it?
Well, Quasar sets up the floor depending when you output it.
That's what I mean. So if
So
she copies it, does she have to change them all to say, okay, these are on floor 2, these are
Yeah,
on floor 3?
if I were doing it and I were doing copying, I would take that first one, copy it across a bunch of times, then use Quasar on the second floor one, and then copy that across. And as long as the second floor and third floor are the same, I would just copy that whole block on the second floor up to the third floor. Like copy them in place and
So
then
the
change
second
them
would-
to level 3.
Yeah, the second's going to be different than the third just because of the glass type.
I might still do the copy anyway, you know, and just change the glass type if that's the only thing that changes. But that's me. Let's see what Jessica does. She's muted.
You guys, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. So,
That's okay.
Good. Don't let it influence your decisions.
no, I missed a step and setup wasn't missing from the Excel sheet. Oops. Whoa. This is the first time I've ever had this bug. Hopefully it doesn't crash.
When did you hit save last?
Probably like 20 minutes ago. So, but we also spent a lot of time chatting that I could probably redo the work really quickly.
Since the system is saved in Revit, we lost the system data.
I don't
Yeah.
know. That was saved in the file. So for
But the
our,
mullion presets would have been saved because I think we saved it after the mullion presets.
How often is your autosave set?
it doesn't auto save in Revit, but it's set to remind me every 15 minutes, I think. But I might need to go double check my settings. I had to reset it for every version of Revit. I don't know if I set it for 2018.
So we saved the Quasar system at 3:15 today.
Yeah, that's more than 15 minutes, so it may or may not be saved. I don't know. But it might not crash. Might just be thinking.
I've never seen it crash like this.
Me neither. It's special.
This is a new one.
Well, running Zoom and Revit at the same time causes all sorts of weird little bugs. So.
I'm closing all my other windows.
Do you want to drop off the call for a minute?
You
Yeah,
can close the takeoff program too.
I'll stop share for a second. Okay, I'll just gonna leave and then call back.
We're watching James eat.
That's the beef jerky from the Walters and Wolf goodie bag.
Nice.
Did you get your goodie bag, your second goodie bag, Steve?
No, still waiting. Let's see what happens. The FedEx truck goes by usually around 1 or 2 o'clock. So I don't think we got it today. And they brought it to the wrong house yesterday. So I don't know what to think. And then, I don't know, it's just how it is, I guess. So I have a meeting I have to go to at 4 o'clock. So Nick and Tom and Lawson. So I won't be here from 4 to 5. But what I've got so far for our notes. I read through most of them, but so we talked about maybe recording the offsets and the angles while we do the Amber's process. So that might be one thing we could look at. Faces system in the sales model is not the same as face system in the architectural. And the glass type in sales models RGL1, but that isn't what we call the glass in operations. Sales should use the same naming convention for their glass as we do for our glass, so they can carry it over.
Alternatively, I can make some kind of mapping thing for that.
Yeah, but I don't know why we wouldn't want, you know, we took people from drafting and put them into sales modeling. Like, I would have thought they would have had some compunction to follow the standards of the company. That was the point. You know, James is our first, you know, hire from scratch, do the work guy. You know, it's like we were trying to ensure quality by having people that knew what the downstream team would want. But I don't know, man.
But if they're being taught, this is how we do sales models, right? I mean, maybe they don't feel empowered like that. They should question that, right? Like, maybe that's just how they're being taught. Like, this is how we do it, and they just are doing it.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it could be like that. I just, you know, makes you wonder. See, I like that, like when we had the problem, you know, we were saying, hey, you know, we made this mullion layout and we gave it to the customer, you know, and what did they say when it came back? I like that I know where to go to get that, you know. I think anytime we're storing things like files, I think is where the problem starts. And I know everybody likes to have a big folder to stick everything in and work out of, but it doesn't really give us any kind of version control. Like Bluebeam just seems like just a wacky thing, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like, you know, to really know what the proper document is, like we're gonna have to move our little file storing to something more formal than just folders on a server, you know what I mean?
I gave up on it and forced closed it because I checked on Task Manager and it wasn't doing anything. So we'll just have to see what we have to redo.
Well, it's always a quarter of the time to redo work. So
Yeah, it's always faster the second time too.
we were in a meeting one time in the main sales conference room doing some big thing, and there was somebody, I can't remember who it was, but somebody's up front doing all this work, and we were literally 3 hours in and their computer crashed and they lost everything that we had done in the last 3 hours. And we recreated the whole thing in a half an hour. So
yeah,
just,
I believe it.
So Steve, as she's kind of redoing, so I just had a question too, like, because I've kind of, my head, like for drafting, kind of what I did before when I drafted, like I would have all my sections and then I would verify my top of horizontal dimensions and, you know, in this case, unit breakups, stacks, wind load, dead loads, like make sure I understood all that first. And same with mullion layout, kind of like what Lynn was doing, like get the module layouts and stuff. And then like seeing how, yeah, the drafters model, it just seems like, yeah, you need to know those things and you need to know which detail goes where. But like I said, from Jumpstart's profile packages, their elevations aren't as clean. They don't include dimensions. They don't include sections. And then I don't have the time always to do that thoroughness, but I see it as it could help a drafter to have that clarity. But I don't know if there's some sub thing, like, because here Jessica's just jumping right in, but it's kind of like, should there be a little something almost like what Lynn was doing, a module study, but also vertically, because also like I add details to the profiles. I don't key those in anywhere. So I don't know how drafter knows which details go where, and that could be a hiccup when they're doing Quasar, because they won't know what details go where because it's not clearly shown really anywhere currently. You know, so I don't know how drafters are doing it now, if they're struggling, or if anybody's voiced that that's a problem, but like that's time consuming to try to figure out the profile package, which detail really goes where, where's my stacks, where's the unit breaks, what's my mullion layout supposed to be, unless that's what we're expecting from the sales model.
Yeah, so the way I would see it, so on this particular job, for this one specific example of Lawson Lane, we do have a module study, vertical and horizontal, that was approved by the customer. So, you know, we did do that part, right?
Hey, what are you doing, Jessica?
I lost everything.
Are you sure?
Yeah. The last time I saved was an hour ago. I just checked the last time I synced.
Oh, shh.
But it will literally take 10 minutes to recreate, so you guys can keep chatting.
So
I was hoping we could avoid the load mullions thing, but
Well, I won't load the details in, so it will take like slightly longer. I mean, slightly less time. Sorry, you guys, you're having a good conversation.
well, no, so we did do a module study on this. The initial game plan that I had, if it had worked out, was to have Lynn use the sales model to make the module study. You know, so instead of drawing something in AutoCAD again and starting all over in another document to look at, you know, she would take the, you know, sales model, put it on, you know, some plans, dimension things, and all these questions would just be coming from the sales model, right? So when she measured that 4'3", she would have seen, oh wait, the sales model's got the face of system in the wrong spot, right? Instead of drawing her own 4'3" and going, that's 4'3". Now somebody else gets to discover the sales model has the face of system in the wrong spot, right? So if somebody were doing the work, you know, maybe for a week or so, they would just be taking the sales model, putting it on floor plans and cutting sections and comparing it with the architecturals and making sure the sales model is right. And if the sales model is wrong, fixing it. Then looking for the details that aren't in the profiles, because as you're going through that process, you could be identifying if you do or do not have the profile details, you know what I mean? So I was hoping that that process would be leading up to your process, you know, and you wouldn't have to go look for details because somebody would have already done it before you got there. But it just didn't work out that way. There was just way too much stuff. So that was my original thought. I don't know if it's still the way we're going to go, but that was my thinking. The sales model would be back checked by somebody, a Mike Bellis, let's say. And then Mike, as he's checking it, would be making sure he has all the families and profiles that he needs to do the job, you know. So when it comes to you, it's like, okay, well, I've already looked at all this. These are the families you need in addition to the profiles. And you guys just roll and do your thing, you know what I mean? So.
But then still, how does the drafter know where each detail goes? Because they don't have a keyed in anything. And like I said, Jumpstart is close, but it doesn't have all.
Well, no, it's in the database, right? I mean, so the idea was, you know, if the sales model's right, then we know where all the right parts and pieces go.
Oh,
like,
so the sales model keys in the profile details?
It keys in the data that goes with those profile details. So like those things should connect.
Okay.
That would be what I'm looking for is to have this model, you know, based off of the profile set. Now, you know, there's this cart and horse problem I have because, you know, some of the stuff we want to be able to do with the sales model requires that the sales model be done before, you know, early. So Jumpstart could use it to, you know, check all the mullion deflections and check all the, you know, glass weights and all the rest of the stuff, right? And then some of the stuff that we're doing in the sales model wants to wait until Jumpstart 3 is done so we can key in all the details that go with it, right? But, you know, in reality, you know, that sill could be a 1 on 501, and 1 on 501 could be the profile detail data. And then this process we're looking at right here would be a lot easier because 1 on 501 would already be identified as the sill. You know what I mean? or 3 on 502 or 2 on 502 or whatever it is right here, 2 on 502 would be identified as the head, right? And that would be the profile detail, and it would tell you which profile detail is being used where. So I see those connecting, but there's still some work to do on that front end to get it to connect. So, I mean, Zach, you don't see any problem with that, right? I mean, you know, if you get Jumpstart 3, you change those, you know, those names to be the detail names, right?
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it.
And that would key it all in and make it, you know, a lot cleaner so we know which thing goes where, and you don't need some, you know, because again, Jumpstart wants to use that same data to figure out deflections, you know. Zach's going to need to know what those mullions are as he runs it all through C-beam. So, you know, they've got to tie together somehow. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be the right parts and pieces in the model, but you got to know which parts and pieces are being used where. And that would come from keying in the details, you know. So that's what I'm thinking, but I don't know. What are your thoughts?
No, I mean, I just right now I see it as a right now like because I don't know what's in the sales models. So for me, I just felt like that was something I should probably try to help with. I was going to try to help key in like I did on 1180 Main, where I literally took snips of the architecturals, brand new ones, and I keyed in every bubble, you know, going up and across, because we didn't even have that from Jumpstart at all. But I was just thinking, should that be part of the process? Because again, seeing all this stuff, how the drafters work, like, yeah, and from drafting, it's like, yeah, it'd be nice to just go up a wall and know what details go where and where's my stacks. But right now I see it as a problem because I don't see it. I don't see anything like that visually for anybody at this point from Jumpstart nor from me that the drafters are getting. So I kind of feel like there was a problem there. Like they're missing information and each drafter is going to struggle because it's not clear. And then I just felt like something that I thought, okay, maybe I could help with that, but if, you know, somehow help with it. But yeah, my method would be, yeah, taking snips of elevations and just putting some bubbles on it or something. But if the sales model can handle it, then yeah, it'd be nice to just get it somehow in there.
Yeah, I mean, the way I would see this, right, is, you know, sales, if you're doing a sales model and you don't have JS3, you're just using some, you know, sort of generic names like head, sill, horizontal, and you're just keying in whatever parts and pieces you think should go there, right? So that's kind of the way you're going to bid it if there's no JS3. You're just
But they could pre-assign it. It's not very hard, right? They, like I said, they're drafters. The very bottom first sill is 1 on 501. The horizontal is 2 on 501. The head is 3. Like, that could just be preset and default. And then if you don't have the detail, leave it blank. And if you have the detail, you plop it in. It could be preset, I think. Because right now, too, Jumpstart needs help with that. Their numbers and sheets are all over the map. And that would be nice if that were simplified.
Because you lay it out and then Jumpstart would do something else. And then, you know, because Jumpstart gets to pick what they draw. Like, you might need 5 sills, but Jumpstart is only going to draw 1 of them for you. You know what I mean? Like, so. But either way, like, you know, if we had a Jumpstart 3 package and somebody went in here and then keyed in, you know, the detail numbers for each of the openings, it wouldn't be hard to get the rest of the stuff to flow. But I don't know exactly how that's going to come together yet. I mean, I can picture it working that way, but you know, the timing of all this stuff is what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Because I want, you know, I would like to see us not spending so much time, you know, checking every mullion and all this stuff, because the model already knows, you know, what the wind loads are, what the spans are, which mullions are where, you know, and it's like, but if the mullion knows, if it knows which mullions are where, it should know which detail it is on the profile set. And if you can get that information in there, then the thing you're talking about would you know, be less necessary. And if somebody's doing their mullion layout, you know, and going through this job and checking the sales model, they could be identifying things that, you know, need to be changed or updated or whatever, right? So I don't know, I'm not sure yet.
Hey, we're back to where we were.
Save,
It took
save,
like
save.
Yeah,
I
hit
was
save.
I saved. Guys, I saved. I'll speak to make you feel even better. I just saved locally.
You got a number of people asking you to save. It was super
So now you know it took about 10 minutes to get back to our last work because we're not discussing anything and know exactly what to do.
All right. Just keep rolling. We're not going to bug you anymore. We're just going to walk.
Russ, we're running out of time.
What's the end of your day? Is it 5?
Well, I was hoping to end this at 4 so I could do some work on Matilda from 4 to 5 because I need to get stuff ready for Michelle.
Okay, well, let's do 15 more minutes and then we'll do this again tomorrow.
Okay.
Seriously, they're called architect?
They're my enemies because architect always gives me the most problems.
The hyphen is a horizontal I.
It's like, you know, companies that make fake cheese, but they don't want to admit that will come up with some weird name that almost sounds like cheese. That's how I think of architect and architect.
It's kind of like Bluebeam View. When I look at that, it's like Bluebeam View.
Yeah.
Oh, that
it's
would be
VU or
awesome.
something.
You should name your kid Bluebeam and give him V's last name.
That would be very confusing for that kid.
So Bluebeam Quinn.
Oh yeah, that's right. Her last name.
I was like, where are you going?
I
with
have a
that?
Vietnamese friend that's last name Vu. That's what I was thinking. I got them all confused.
Wow.
Are you running cheat sheet? Yeah, you are. Okay.
And we got basic glass.
Why does one light? Oh, never mind. It looked like a different color, and now it looks the same.
Maybe it's just the opacity. It's being confusing. And now I will double check before I duplicate. Something funky going on. There's the sales model. Was off by 3/16, but maybe that was some alignment. No, that's probably the architect's model that's off. Okay, these are exactly the same. All right. Oh, glass.
You're just checking the bytes against the
Yeah.
profile set or whatever.
Yeah, I'm just reading them in this property panels instead of visually checking, because if it's right here, it's gonna be right in the model. By top rates, that's correct. Cool, yeah, so glass looks good. And everything looks like it's in the right spot. And it is even number. Even number. And I'll just double check that matches the module study, which is 11 feet. That was 10. Oh. We do have a difference, it looks like, in the module study. Let me just make this a normal section. So the module study has just like as 1.7 versus the sales model and the architect's model at 2 feet spacing.
Is that on the previous building?
Yeah, let me go look at that. It's taking a while. Okay. Same one. Oh, they did this in a different way than typical. Okay. Oh, so they're matching the previous building. So I assume that was the decision that was made. James, do you have any insight on that?
I don't, because I was only just looking at slabs. I wasn't looking at layout.
This is the module layout drawing?
No, so I saw that in the module layout drawing, the spacing was different than, just a second, I closed it, so I have to open it again. Was the module layout drawing, the spacing was different than in the sales model and the architect's model. So then I checked the previous building and the module layout is matching the previous building. So I guess I just want to make sure that we are, so like, you know, what the direction is if I match this module layout in the previous building, or if I need to get more information on this.
As far as I know, like it's supposed to match the the phase one, because these buildings connect, so it would be really weird if you had a different horizontal height.
Okay.
It needs to match phase one.
I guess I'll add that note in BIM
But
360.
that was the return submittal for the module layout that you just opened?
No, this is just the module. Yeah, so let me open the.
Delete that. That's the old document. Right? The one that James uploaded is the one we should be looking at, the one that came back from the architect with the markup.
So this is the return submittal, and they didn't even mark it up.
Okay, because it wasn't even marked to be looked at, so.
Yeah.
But, well, I don't know. So, I don't know.
So where does the arc model show that horizontal at?
Oh wait, actually, maybe I just trusted that because I just realized I had it turned off. Oh wait, no, I have it turned on. James, you caught me. No, it's let me hide this. This is the sales model. Here's the arc model.
So architect got it wrong. Sales model just followed the architect model, didn't look at the previous building. Okay.
I'm gonna mark it up in that sales model 3D. Under Lawson.
You just want to know if we're matching the existing building, right?
Yeah.
Let me get to it.
It's not. Who should I assign this to?
Nick Hall?
Oh,
Let me call
hmm?
him. I'm going to get your answer right now.
So why is it even a question though? It's the approved document. And we're matching previous? Is it just the question of should sales model be fixed or? I'm not understanding why is this even a question?
Yes, just to verify that we should move it.
Yeah, we believe at like a 90% chance that it's matching phase one, but with the arc model incorrect.
Lawson Lane building, they match the horizontals on the height of the horizontals on the old Lawson Lane building, right? Like we're carrying that dimensional string over, right? Just want to make sure. No, I'm talking about the dimensional height of the horizontals. Like we're just doing the very first punch window on the ground floor. It's got two horizontals in it. The height of those horizontals should match the first building, right? Okay.
Let's create a new issue.
Yeah, this is. That sounds good. That's good. It matches the other building.
Okay. So this guy's not change.
So are we saying that the sales model didn't match?
Yeah, the sales model was wrong. But
The architect model was wrong too.
The sales model was matching the architect's model, which was wrong. And I caught it by double checking against the module layout.
So Lynn's module layout was correct.
Yeah,
The documents we submitted, and it matches the original building.
yeah,
But the sales model was wrong because it matched the architecturals.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you send me a snip of that right there on the screen too?
yeah, just a second. I put in the wrong value. I was like, just flipped them, so let me fix it and I'll send it to you.
All right. I got to run my other meeting, so just shoot me that email and we'll do
Okay.
it. Thanks, everybody.
See you,
Bye.
Steve.
See you in the morning.
See ya.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
you
sure,
guys have a feedback mechanism to give to sales, or is it just marking it up on the blue beam or BIM 360? Or is that what Steve is saying? Like, really, we don't always give feedback like this too?
Yeah, we have no mechanism.
There's no, it's a one-way street.
Steve inches.
Unless there is. Let me check Celine's cool engineering contacts list. Drafting feedback, transition feedback, jumpstart feedback, Revit family feedback. Yeah, so no, I'm going to put that as an opportunity.
So I guess we're done for today, and then tomorrow we can make an elevation and duplicate it.
Do you have to resave that
Save.
system?
I already saved it.
Oh, okay.
Synchronize it. So thanks everyone. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
All right.
Have a
Good
day.
session.
See you tomorrow for
Bye.
another
guys.
9-hour day.
Yep.
All right. Bye.
See you.